And we're coming to you today from Lee Road outside Cork City, and I'm delighted to be here with Shookrah. Alright, so we have Imelda, we have Dermot, we have Brian, we have Daniel, we have Sunita, and we have Emmett. How's it going, lads?
Great.
Yeah, good stuff. So it says here, according to your own blurb, right, Shookrah are based in Cork City and do their best to make banging R&B music. R&B that is dark like Kendrick Lamar, sensual like Beyonce, and badass like James Brown. For it still makes ye giggle, so it must be working. Powered by a rhythm section of synthesizer, drums and bass. Two female voices share melodies with a generously affected guitar on top.
Weird.
Yeah.
Dan is a generous boy on guitar.
I give and I take and I give a bit more than I take.
All right, so listen, it's great to be hanging out with you here in this room. And you said, at one stage, somebody said, they walked in, they said, hey, you know, Shookrah started in this room. What do they mean by that? How was that story?
I was thinking Dermot sat down at that piano,
He wasn't in the band.
learning how to play.
He wasn't in the band. So you're wrong.
Oh, he just meant he was learning music as a kid over there.
Yeah, you're wrong again.
Well, yeah, I guess maybe like partially incepted here. I suppose myself, Dan, and David, rest in peace, in Glasgow.
He's not.
He's not dead. I know. I said in Glasgow. Okay, yeah.
He's resting there.
Peacefully. We were like, we just
But
did like, we just did a covers gig one year, and then Emmett, and all of us were like, yeah, we should try and form a band and start writing some original music and stuff like that. And but then I suppose a lot of our kind of like getting to be familiar with each other as musicians probably kind of stemmed as well in the kind of big sessions where you'd have a big jam here, you know, over the summers and stuff. So you'd kind of basically host a load of top and all the rest of the musicians from Cork that were nearly top to play, and you know, we'd all kind of just, I suppose, play stuff that we liked or jam out new things. So yeah, I guess in that era of like Shookrah forming, this definitely played a part, being in this room.
Really? Tell us about these jamming sessions, Dermot.
I will. Eventually, yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to do them in the summer, many a long year ago now, when the cats were away, the mice would play. So yeah, we'd get everyone over and kind of do the room like this, take everything out and bring in kits and gear and stuff. And yeah, just used to have big smelly jams for the night. Yeah, that was it. But yeah, the kind of people, I suppose a lot of the local yokels, or I suppose a lot of people who are still playing now and stuff will be up jamming. So there was temporary super groups formed in the night, this kind of thing. But yeah,
I didn't know all this when I said that.
Brian was invited, unfortunately. We didn't know him then, unfortunately. But yeah.
Also, we pretty much recorded everything except drums in this house for the last EP. There's like a small little room at the back, and we just record all the keyboards, vocals, guitar and stuff. It was like mainly myself and Dermot just kind of fine tuning and taking bits out and producing and whatnot for the bones of 8 months or something, I'd say. It was a really long time for a 5-track EP. But yeah, we've spent a lot of time in this house musically.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So like, you know, yeah, so there's no bother today to set up for this session. You felt at home here?
Yeah, I'd say so. Dermot literally probably feels at home because it is, after all, his home.
Yeah.
And a fine one it is.
I know. And thanks to Padraig and Mary as well, like, you know what I mean, for letting us use the space. Like, the cats are back, but we're still here. We're recording anyway. But listen, it's interesting that you say that like there was super groups formed, you know what I mean? Because I think there's there's a kind of a super group element to Shookrah. You know what I mean? If you'll allow me to say, like, you know what I mean? Like Brian, there's I met you during the summer when Shookrah were playing at Body and Soul.
Yeah.
And then somebody says to me, they nudges me, and it was Rory O'Brien from 10 past 7,
Oh, yeah.
and he said, that's the bass player from Heliopause. And I said, the bass player from Heliopause. And I remembered when Heliopause used to play down in Kerry, down in Clubhead Bang Bang.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, who's that bass player? Is this big freakazoid kid with long hair? And he was just so awesome. And then I remember being in Plug Records. I'm dropping all kinds of names now. And I was chatting to Albert, and I was like, "Oh, Heliopause," and he was like, "Did you see that bass player?" Oh man, it's unbelievable style. And then I didn't know you. I didn't recognize you.
Yeah.
And then so you're banging it up with Shookrah now.
Yeah, for the last year now. This is the first recording today with it, but it's great, yeah.
Yeah, and you're still studying. You're studying.
Yeah, I'm studying at the moment in the city, in third year, getting it done. Yeah, it's a long journey music, like, you know, like back then with Heliopause, the lads were studying in the college now, but we were going mad. We didn't know what we were doing, but it was good times.
Yeah, and how many of the rest of you have studied music as well? Have you studied music, Sunita?
Yeah, in UCC.
Yeah, because I think that's interesting, and I think it is kind of like because we got the School of Music now, which is up and running 10 years. Before that, you'd Skull Stefan Nefa and stuff like that, and even I think like just the level that musicians are coming out of now of all these like Cork schools and these third level places and stuff like that. It is. From an outsider's looking in on it, for me, like, you know, you do see these jam sessions, and you do see a lot of freeform and a lot of improv music now coming out, and I think Shookrah has that quality as well. Like very often your live recording or your recordings sound like a jam session, like, you know what I mean. It really has that kind of loose feel and stuff like that. What do you think about the way things are in Cork at the moment? Things seem to be just a high level of musicianship around the place.
Yeah, there's sort of a jam culture, if there is such a word. I think there's just a lot of cross-pollination between musicians and between styles as well, and I know a lot of that would have been due in part, I'd say, to like the kind of little scene around like Gulped Cafe, for example, or that whole kind of thing. There's a lot of like, you know, it was just a space where if someone went up to Jimmy and said like, "Oh, I want to do like a kind of a spacey krautrock gig featuring, you know, 600 blenders and 3 old women singing or whatever," he'd be like, "Yeah, man, yeah, absolutely, how's Thursday?" And then people would actually show up and, you know, have a couple of beers and watch weird music.
There's a trust there in terms of like, you know, Cork is like fairly, you know, big and small in terms of you get to know like who, you know, really top musicians are, or just people that are doing something a bit different or quirky that you might, that might be kind of like left of center of like the generic music appetite in terms of like gigs and having gigs are available to you. So like Plugged was kind of good for that, but like I suppose he would kind of, you know, if you have like Cahill and Dan, Cahill McGowan, that would be in Alterares, and Dan Walsh, that's like basically the drummer of everything kind of in Cork, and they're like, yeah, we want to do something a little bit weird, or we're jamming on stuff, but you haven't any kind of footage, or like you haven't seen them live and stuff like that. He would have that kind of sense of trust to know that, you know, they'll do something good, and that there will more than likely be an appetite for that or a curiosity as to what it is that they're doing. So Cork is kind of nice in that there's kind of an organic sense of crossover, just because people like trust that they might kind of come up with something interesting or weird that they may want to pursue or not want to pursue, that maybe you just don't have the opportunity to play around with in like bigger cities, really, or you might not come across someone that has that same you know, taste in what you're interested in doing. I don't know. I think that like even for instance, this room having been like a big jam space, like you kind of have a half sense as to like what people are into, because it was just like free for all kind of jamming, and it would take peaks and troughs and kind of spiral into like weird, you know, places as well. But like with that, you know, everyone kind of gets to know each other and would get that like initial layer of whatever, like I suppose fear in terms of asking someone to be like, hey, do you want to like jam sometime, and you know, just something really weird and like loud, cool, you know. Yeah.
But I think within that, like, I mean, you have musicians who like are doing two things as well. Like they're challenging themselves, and they're challenging, you know what I mean, what they can do, and they're trying to find out more about themselves as a musician, I suppose.
Sure.
And then there's also the collaborative nature, where like there's like you said, there's that cross pollination kind of a thing. Like it's absolutely amazing, I think, you know what I mean. But But so tell us a bit more about some of your own backgrounds in terms of music. I don't know what you've done before or anything like that, Imelda.
Oh, I haven't studied music or done anything
Really?
before. Yeah, I just Sunita just heard me singing along to the radio in my car, and she was like, "You should join my band." And I was like, I don't know about that now. And then she just kind of pushed me to do it, and then just kind of fell into it naturally, I suppose.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What were you singing along to?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Don't know.
Celine Dion.
It's probably R&B of some sort.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it was, because like I remember I was chatting to you before in a previous interview, and I asked you about you like growing up in Kerry, and you gave me this amazing answer. I loved it. I think I was actually telling you about it one time. You were saying that oh yeah, like all my buddies were into music and they were all into Muse and Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that, but you were deeply into Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, and I was like, class. So how did the rest of you feel about Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston?
I love Whitney Houston anyway. Mariah Carey,
She tells you.
nah, I'll take her or leave her, but Whitney Houston,
Whitney
yes,
Houston.
I second that.
she's amazing, yeah.
Absolutely.
Really? It's
Yeah.
very
I think
lopsided towards
90s Mariah
Whitney.
Carey, 90s Mariah Carey is forgotten. She was like on par with
Yeah.
Whitney Houston in the early 90s for the power ballad, and then she turned
Those
R&B
whistle
and
notes
like
as well.
you know bikini tops and shorts and started doing the whole time. So like there is this transitionary thing. There's
She can't do that anymore.
She's also meant to be a bit of a dope.
look, you know, I'm not judging her in her actual personality. I'm really fickle.
If she has one.
I know.
All right.
Anyway.
All right, enough of the Mariah Carey bashing.
All opinions are interviewees' own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, views are not my own.
Yeah, we're just hoping to start with a Twitter war with, aging 90s pop star.
Think of your strategy.
So yeah, you got the Derrynan Robot Club in the band as well. Like that must be great for the rest of the band to have some
You're
crack.
wrecking their heads. the whole
people
time.
making hilarious videos and stuff like that. Like.
Yeah.
Talking
Yeah, maybe
nonsense.
we should just like our next music video should just be a ludicrous sketch,
Yeah.
just
So
like
we
a
need to,
really
like-
weird, offensive, totally disconnected from the music sketch.
Or you could
You know,
shift or something.
go nice and viral.
Hey-oh.
Yeah.
Heyo.
But I suppose it goes back to that collaborative thing, like But so
Yeah.
listen, what's I know you were fierce busy in the summertime doing a load of festivals and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I met you a load of places. So what's next up for you guys?
Record.
Yeah, recording.
Really?
Yeah.
Make the
We're
album.
gonna,
How are you going to make the album? Where are you going to make the album? Are you going to make it up here, up the road?
Yeah.
yeah, there's a studio
plan.
very nearby.
There's a studio very nearby.
Very nearby.
See, this is all really interesting, I think, what's happening here on Lee Road. So you're jamming here, and now there's a studio opening just up the lane.
Yeah.
What's the story
It's
there?
super secret, but
It's super
Dermot-
secret? Are we allowed to talk about it?
yeah, I'll allow Dermot to explain it.
Yeah, well, we're going to be recording up there soon with
Microphones.
microphones and all the usual paraphernalia, and also, Brendan Fennessy is currently operating his recording empire from up there. So, yeah, and the Altered Hours are currently practicing up there as well. So yeah, I think we're recording with Brendan up there. Hopefully, I already said that.
Should be before the end of the year. Before the end of the year.
Yeah, I suppose you know
Get a
that's
few
Yeah.
sessions going.
kind of potentially what's
But yeah, at the moment it's the practice hub anyway of Shukra and the Altered Hours, and it seems the bank and maybe even O Emperor once or twice. So yeah, that's just the shared space up there.
And where is it? It's up there, is
Just
it?
up there. That's all I'm willing to say for now.
That's brilliant.
But the
That's
goal, the
brilliant.
goal is an album.
And I forgot about the other element of in the super group that is Shookrah. You got the Fionn Regan lookalike.
There's a story there.
I'm not
Oh,
convinced
man.
he's not Fionn Regan, to be honest.
A couple of weeks back, there was the songs from Safe Harbour that festival was on,
Yeah.
and we're in a nightclub, and Dermot was saying to me, he was like, "Man, all day people have been saying that I look like." And just as he's saying that, a guy just kind of arrives, just outside of his line of view, and goes, "All day people have been saying that I look like Fionn Regan," and then this guy's like, "I'm really sorry. Look, I think you're amazing, and I thought your talk with Cillian Murphy was unbelievable." And I was like, "Oh man, talking about illustrating the point beautifully." But is Fionn Regan come here to jam at any stage? No,
No.
no,
Yeah.
just his look like.
No, just
Yeah.
to look like, yeah. don't know if we had any
Get a
famous
picture
names in
together.
here. Stevie G's dropped samples from that very table you're leaning on. Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other celebrity endorsement for the house, but no.
Celebrity endorsements for the house.
Finn Regan certainly on the
Aesthetics.
the hit list, yeah.
No bother. Listen, that's brilliant. And so what tracks are you going to play for us today?
We're going to play 2 tracks called I Have Arrived and Prayer. The former is a newly composed song, and that'll hopefully be up in the album. And Prayer is from our last EP, and it's kind of the song we close shows out with and stuff normally. So that's what we're going to play.
Brilliant. Shukra, thanks a million.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
I have arrived. It'll be someday now. Though I'm taking action now, I'm here to earn it. I have arrived. It'll be someday now. In this caliber of zeal, I do deserve it. If you do all day and grateful for the wage you get, you pay your rent that's noble and intelligent. It's hard as easy living, people find the wrong, it's gone. Proof that's life now is that your portion. People get complacent either end on the spectrum, but being blind to it is as hard as admitting you love that bougie truth. When we are fighting that. I'm mumbling to myself that I can make fruitful wealth of this life I know. I'm mumbling to myself that I can make fruitful wealth of this life I know. I have arrived. It'll be someday now. Though both my mamas and my papas get a little quiet moment of redemption, and saving what would otherwise be their pleasure, resolution and some clarity for their offspring. And maybe we clear the indiscernible doubt was just a fear. And I know it's just a hope and a dream. Relations are even more complex than they seem. Every now and then I get to thinking about the future. you tell your mom to say a prayer for me? Can you tell your aunt